Welcome to the Night Shift Court podcast. I'm Pidge.
And I'm Moen.
We are two shift-working fantasy book lovers and love nothing more than leaving reality behind for a bookish adventure.
Join us as we go under the mountain to discuss our favourite fantasy fiction tales and the authors behind them. Come with us to explore the stories, one shift at a time.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, we're back! That just kind of erupted out of me, much like if I have too much fairy bread, it would erupt from my mouth.
Thank you for that. But what we really wanted to talk about was that this episode is being released on the 22nd.
Yes.
But guess what the 25th is?
Tell me.
Fairy Bread Day.
Of course it is. Fairy bread. It's only fitting that we dedicate this episode to fairy loot.
Yes. They're better than Fairy Bread.
Close.
No,
Close.
no, 100% better. I am a special edition book collector.
You really are.
Nothing is better than special edition books. So if you don't know, Fairy Loot is a quarterly book box subscription for amazing special edition books.
Yeah, out of this world.
Yeah.
And you have quite a number of them.
I do.
As do I actually now.
Yes. Yes,
Getting up there.
you recently got Wisteria.
I did. So I've got Wisteria, which is the third in the series, those being Belladonna, Foxglove, and the special editions of them from Fairy Loot are just stunning.
They're beautiful. They're all beautiful. I've never received a Fairy Loot book that I've gone, that's mediocre.
Yeah.
They're always top notch.
Like the When the Moon Hatched Fairy Loot is just chef's
stunning.
kiss.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So fairy bread though. So yes, thank you.
Well, it's very Australian.
It is. Or Dutch.
Really?
Yes. So I just had a bit of a Google as you do. So obviously befitting its whimsical name, fairy bread is a fun and colourful treat at popular children's birthday parties in Australia and New Zealand. But also there's a Dutch version.
Okay.
And it was, they
Why
have to
not?
copy things. I'm not sure who copied. Probably Australia, given our infant country.
Yeah.
But yes, the Dutch version uses dark chocolate strands known as hegel.
Oh,
If you're Dutch and I'm saying that wrong, I'm terribly sorry because I'm very Greek.
wow. Yes, you are very Greek. But also, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fairy bread is not only popular at children's birthday parties, it's popular at my house. My children will always eat it.
I don't think I've ever made fairy bread for Lila.
It's honestly
bad
just
mummaloo.
the experience, just having your children spread thousands upon thousands of tiny, tiny little edible beads everywhere.
Look, that concept is not for me. I am happy to prepare it if she is happy to eat it.
No, half of the fun is preparing it.
Do you not put them on a plate and then butter the bread and just...
Yes, yeah.
You do, but they end
It's a
up
dunk
everywhere.
situation. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you could be very organised about it.
You'll
You'll still be finding them in a month.
You could be very pidge about it.
Yes.
And you still could fuck it up.
Absolutely.
Roger.
Yes.
Anyway.
We are meeting today to talk about episode 44, chapter 6 to 10.
Does
I call the jury to order.
Does 4 signify anything for you? Do you like the number 4? Are you a fan of double digits?
Yeah, but 666. No, nothing significant.
Actually, I should have seen that coming.
A 4.
Okay.
Why, is there something significant?
No, just
to
4's
you?
a lucky number for me.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh, you're going to have 4 kids.
Absolutely not. Struggling to have 2. Can't afford to have 4.
It's struggling to have them, and then you'll struggle when you have to as well.
Absolutely.
It's not a vibe.
No.
Okay,
Let's do it.
heads up, tits up, let's fuck it up. Moore describes the darkness of the hewn city and of Keir and Eris standing before Rhys and Feyre on the throne. Yeah, literally do a Nesta, spit on them.
I think that spitting's like disgusting and I hate it, particularly when there's a bogan walking down the street and they spit unnecessarily.
Yes.
Men, why must you spit? And in fact, you don't have to, because I've never seen my husband do this.
No.
Like, it's disgusting. Don't do it. But if you do, direct it at Kia and Eris.
When I was young, I actually tried to learn to spit at a distance. So you know how some people can spit really far?
Now, when you say learn, did you have someone try and talk you?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, who?
A family member.
Roger.
A male. A
Yes.
family male member.
Yeah.
A male. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, turns out I cannot.
Yeah.
And I do not have the ability with my mouth to spit other than it just going down my chin. Yeah. It's really totally irrelevant to the podcast as well.
Is it though?
So if I was trying to spit on Keir and Eris, it would just end up with me with spit on myself.
On your chin.
Yeah.
Let's move on, shall we?
So Eris explains that he is there to offer his own solstice greetings. And again, this is weird. Like they just go around and wish each other well for solstice.
Yeah, the whole thing's weird. I wouldn't fucking bother if I was Rhys. I'd be like, you know what? Let them deal. Like, as if Keir cares if they're there or not.
Yes, that's
Anywho's.
right. So interestingly, so chapter is from Moore's point of view, which is really cool. First chapter we've ever heard with Moore.
Yeah.
And she has alluded before to being found in a forest by Asriel, and we get more information.
Let's dissect.
Yes. So she has a flashback while they're talking, tunes out and remembers herself laying on the ground on the autumn court border. She sees the beautiful swaying maple trees above her. You know, they're green and orange and brown colours all blending together. And then she starts to hear footsteps come towards her. So it's a border patrol. And Eris happens to be with them. Lucky, unlucky, coincidence or not. And he says to them, don't touch her. The moment we do, she's our responsibility.
Interesting.
Yes. So Eris approaches her and he stands above her and he says, I take it you do not wish to live here, Morrigan. I love Eris. He's giving her a choice.
It is a choice. It's a definite choice. There's no other way to describe it. And if he was nasty pasty, there would be no choice.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the under the mountain stage of Eris's story.
Correct.
Where he's playing the villain.
That's right.
Yeah. She thinks to herself that she'd rather die here and, quote, return as something wicked and cruel and shred them all apart. Maybe you could be that in this life, Morrigan.
She probably can.
Yes, that's right. So they all turn to leave and Eris says she chose to sully herself. Her family chose to deal with her like garbage. I already told them my decision on the matter. And that's what he says to the other people in the border patrol, because a few of them are like trying to reach for her and saying, oh, but look at her. She's got this note nailed to her womb and she's in pain and bleeding and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no. So she doesn't have a good old time. He leaves and she's found shortly after by Asriel, but we don't hear about that particular bit at all.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Keep us wanting more, Sarah. Thank you.
Yes. She comes to again and Eris makes some sort of comment about territory expansion and he says to Rhys, well, then I would suggest to you, High Lord, that you speak to your dear friend Tamlin about it, remembering that Tamlin's court is the only one that touches the mortal lands. So if anybody's extending, it's going to be him and then like down.
Push down.
Yeah. Or
Like
they'd have to go through his territory to get to the human lands to claim it. So he's kind of the gatekeeper at this stage.
An accordion effect.
Yes.
Is he going to give up some of his to obtain more, or is he going to let them through?
Yeah.
Very political.
Indeed. Honestly,
boring.
half the war is after the war.
Yeah, exactly.
Of these boring chats.
Yeah. All of these chapters are from a different person, which I love that we get to chop and change point of views now. but they are really quick and short.
Do you find Rhys and Feyre's chapters more boring now
Yes.
than the others? Because you're like, no, I need to hear from the others.
Exactly. We've had enough of them and now getting introduced to each person's POV.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt the same way, but when I was reading, I kind of became that person in that chapter.
Yes.
And I think that's a mark of a really amazing author.
Yes.
If you can sink into someone that you've never really been in before.
Yeah.
But because you know the character so well from another person's point of view, you can kind of just morph into it.
Yes.
So chapter 7's from Rhys, very, like we say, very vanilla now at this point. So Azriel's bought a list of clans where dissent is spreading. I love that he's just got this aforementioned list. He's like, right.
Here they are.
Here they are. Durian and Vassar both still in the human lands.
Yes.
And we don't hear a lot about what they're up to. It's just kind of where they're hanging out.
Well, Vassar has been given a holiday from her, not necessarily from her curse, but from where she's bound, where Cachet is bound in the middle. In the pond. What's it called? The Great Lake. Sorry.
The Great Lake. I love how we've got a Tasmania geography for Prithian. It's great.
You know, the water.
Yeah.
The waters. Yes. Anyway, she's been given a little holiday from there. So she's still in the human lands and she's still on one about the human queens because apparently they've locked themselves away in their joint palace and won't come out. So,
I mean, would you come out
no.
if you were there?
No.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Quite clever.
We do find out that Durian has gained control of a slice of land at the bottom of the mortal lands and he's used his seat on Grayson's panel for glory, essentially. So Rhys and the Fae essentially don't want to step in and tell the humans now how to rule themselves because they were ruled by the queens.
Yes.
And now the queens have disappeared, for lack of a better word. No one's ruling them. Vassar doesn't want to rule them because she will be recalled. Durian is Fae, so he doesn't want to rule them. And don't know what the fuck Grayson's fucking on about. But they want to sort of leave them to work it out amongst themselves.
Which I think post-war is actually the right thing to do because you don't really know who's going to come up and rule if the queens are AWOL. So it's, you know, it's a strange flux state that they're in.
Well, I think the Fae don't want to be seen as ruling them either because that was the whole point of this war was that the Fae wouldn't rule them.
Yeah, they've been working towards freedom for everyone.
Yes, that's
the
right.
wall is not.
Yes.
And which is politically problematic.
Yes.
But also now they're like, well, we need to kind of let them do their own thing. So it's all hands off.
Yeah. And both Rhys and Helion have looked over Vassar and can't find a way to break her curse.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. He didn't mention that Feyre has yet though. Remember, she is the curse breaker. So,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
I do just want to point out that there was a bit in this particular meeting between Rhys and Azriel where Rhys starts thinking about how Azriel is Illyrian, obviously, but even like the folklore from the Illyrians don't know where Shadowsinger gifts come from.
Yeah.
And he talks about how his shadows are the same shapes as the tattoos that he has on him.
Ooh.
And it's very interesting because if you remember, Illyrians are given their tattoos for luck and glory.
Yes.
/ they also pop up from bargains.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I always get curious about the tattoos and the different tattoos and which ones are bargains and what those bargains are.
Yeah.
And it just made me think maybe Azriel has a fair few bargains in play.
And do you bargain yourself to be a shadow singer?
Yeah, maybe.
Who would know?
Who knows? They get to a very interesting point in this meeting where Azriel asks if they should tell Lucien what's happening. And Rhys says, well, you can't because he's away at the moment. And Azriel's like, where? And he's like, oh, aren't you the shadow singer? Aren't you the one that should know? And Azriel becomes very defensive and says, I don't make it a point of looking after his movements.
Yeah.
And he is Elaine's mate and it would be an invasion of privacy to track him.
That's an odd, I haven't actually picked up on that whole exchange.
Do you think they could be a throuple?
They could be.
Like most, correct me if I'm wrong, but if someone is in the closet, for lack of a better term, would you become defensive when you talk about someone? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I wonder if that's what it is.
It could be. That would explain a lot. I hope not, because
I hope so, because, and I've been thinking about Elaine, and this was my theory from last episode, was the thruple theory, because Elaine is painted as this sweet, innocent, naive flower, and there's nothing better of a story than changing that into a dirty, dirty whore.
yeah, and Azriel quote from Sarah is a freak.
Just food for thought. But currently, Lucien is in the spring court.
He's with Tampon.
Yeah.
It's not for me, but he had to go visit him, and Rhys needs to also go visit
like
him.
He's in the dementia ward. Like he's got to go and visit,
Yeah.
It's like
Well, Tamlin has no one.
Yeah.
And Lucien probably does get the guilt a bit.
Yeah, I reckon he does.
Yeah, even though he's been bloodied up.
So they get onto the topic of gift giving. Again, your favourite. And Azriel's like, oh, do we have to get gifts for the girls? And
Dumb.
I can't quite understand the dynamic, because my understanding was that everybody got gifts for everybody.
Yeah.
But in this situation, Rhys was like, no, just leave the sisters to gift amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, I have been paying for her apartment and her drinking habit, so there's my gift. And I was like, wait, so sorry, did you get her a gift or didn't you get her a gift? Because could you imagine how embarrassed Azriel would be if he turned up and everybody else was exchanging everybody else's gift?
Yeah.
And he didn't get one for the girls because Rhys told him not to.
But Nesta's not buying anyone a gift.
No.
And Elaine's probably like, I made you this pumpkin pie from the pumpkin in the garden.
A bouquet
Yeah.
of flowers.
Sorry.
But Rhys says, I'm half tempted to give Nesta hunting rights for solstice so that she can go and hunt Grayson.
I think that's perfect, actually.
And yes, I love that. Also, we talk about Bryaxis and how Rhys is like, oh, have you heard a whisper of him? And Azriel's like, I haven't heard a scream. And he says, well, don't bother over solstice. And he says, let Bryaxis enjoy solstice as well. Here's Bryaxis sucking out people's souls for solstice.
Living his absolute best. He's like, geez, I asked for a window and I've been given months of treatment.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So Azriel admits that he has to do every man's worst nightmare, which is to do some Christmas shopping.
Yeah. The night before Christmas.
The night before. And Rhys says to him, buy her something from me, will you? And put it on my account this time. And he also says, when do you head out for Rosehall? Did you remember that?
No.
Yeah, so right at the end of the meeting, he says, when do you head out for Rosehall? And then Azriel gives like a shy little, thing in 2 days' time or whatever. And so I have a theory here.
Yeah.
Firstly, where is Rosehall?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yep. And who is she that they're referring to?
Say the quote again. When do you head out for Rosehall?
Yep. And then Azriel responds with in 2 days' time.
Mm.
And then they have a little smile at each other, and Rhys says to Azriel, buy her something from me, will you? And put it on my account this time. I have a theory.
Okay, I want to hear it.
So my theory is that Rosehall is Azriel's family estate.
Yeah.
And that the she is his mother.
Yeah.
So if you will remember, it's never confirmed if Azriel's mother is still alive or not. The only thing we know about her relationship with his father is that it wasn't consensual, and he has a multitude of brothers from the same. So if you will remember, we don't know if Azriel's mum is alive or not.
Yeah.
The only thing we know about her relationship with Azriel's father was that it wasn't consensual, and that he has 2 or 3 brothers, presumably from the same father.
Yes.
So my theory is that if you will remember, Cassian's mother was a low-level,
Lowborn
low-born Illyrian woman. And so Asriel's mother was good friends with Rhys's mother, who was also a lowborn Illyrian. You'll remember she was a seamstress. So it's likely that Asriel's mother was also lowborn if she was friends with Rhys's mum.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how would they ever have met?
That's right.
Cassian's mum was worked to the bone / killed for becoming pregnant out of wedlock.
Yes. Even though she was raped.
Yeah, yes. So you can put the pieces together then that Asriel's mum isn't dead, or sorry, she either is dead and we're completely wrong, or she isn't and she's been looked after. And the theory there is that if his mum and dad had produced a shadow singer, and how incredibly rare they are, that someone has looked after them in the hopes that they will have more children who would become shadow singers.
Yeah.
So I theorise that Rosehall is his family's estate, where either his mum and dad and his brothers or some variation of live, and that he's going to visit her for solstice.
Yeah, even on the reread, I must have just skimmed.
It's like 2 sentences.
It's such a quick, fleeting moment, isn't it?
You know, I'm sus.
I love your susness.
Nothing gets past me. Sometimes super obvious things do though. And then other things I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you dissect the little things.
Yeah, that's
I love
right.
it.
So we're back to Cassian's body now.
I love it. Morph into Cassian.
And he's still at Windhaven, which is the Illyrian camp.
Yes.
And he can tell a storm is coming. Can you tell when a storm's coming?
Well, I am going to give myself away here.
Okay, go.
You know how, like, I used to bag my mum out for this very thing, but like, you know how some people are like, oh, my wrist is aching and it must be going to rain.
Oh, no.
Well, I do get like body aches when it's going to bucket it down. Maybe I've just peaked at age 37 and everything is downhill from now.
And the problem is that you live in Tassie where it's like 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah.
So it's always raining at some point.
Yeah.
I can smell the rain.
Yeah. I mean, I can smell it when it's raining, but not before.
Oh, no, I can smell it beforehand. But I'm the Weaver version in this world and have an incredible sense of smell.
Yes.
So I can smell the rain when it's coming, so I can relate. But everybody else is busily preparing for the storm.
Yes.
And remembering this isn't just rain but snow because we're high up in the Illyrian mountains.
That's right. Yeah.
And he goes to a shop.
Oh, I love this. So he's going to see the clothier, Proteus, and instead he finds a young lady
with clipped wings.
Very clipped wings. This whole thing disturbs me, the clipping of the wings. But anyway, we get introduced to a character called Emerie, and Emerie becomes very important, as you will find out.
Our first female Illyrian.
Exactly. So the meaning of Emerie as a name is home strength or brave and powerful. If there were ever a name for a true homebody, Emerie would surely be it. So I would like to change my name.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So yes, home strength, brave, powerful in like old German.
Yeah.
So, and it's quite a nice name.
I love it.
Yeah. Might put that on the baby list.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Yep.
There is a moment that he talks about how she walks out from behind the counter and approaches him, which is a very non-female Illyrian thing to do.
Yeah.
She doesn't lower her eyes as what is taught to Illyrian females, and she shakes Cassian's hand.
Yeah.
Which I found really interesting because I have said this many a time before. 2 things that I really focus on when I meet new people: good handshake.
Yeah.
Good eyebrows.
Eyebrows?
Yes.
Oh.
Fuck off.
I thought you were going to say like eye contact.
No,
because like the eye
eyebrows.
contact when you're handshaking, it needs to be, if someone's like shaking my hand well, but they're looking somewhere else, I'm like, fucking fuck off.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
No, 2 things that you need to rule the world: firm handshake, good eyebrows.
Lucky we have both.
Yes. Lucky we have them tattooed.
Yes, correct. They're always on.
Yeah. So he looks around the fully stocked store and notices that she's taken a few steps away from him, but she still stands there with her lifted chin, looking very proud. And it reminds him of Nesta and her "I will slay my enemies" pose.
Yeah.
So he talks about how he's logged about 24 of Nesta's poses. And I love this. So the first one that he logs is the "I will eat your eyes for breakfast." And the second is "I don't want Cassian to know I'm reading smut." And that's the instant book close when your husband walks in the room.
Yeah. You can't do that with a Kindle. It's so unsatisfying, but you can be like, just put it down.
Oh, if my husband ever gets in my space while I'm reading, I can't concentrate.
Yeah, no.
Leave me alone.
Don't touch me.
I need at least a leg's length away from me on the couch.
Social distancing.
Yes. Happens a lot while I'm reading.
The only good thing to come out of COVID.
Yes, very true. So he buys out all of her winter gear.
Every skerrick.
Santa.
Santa's workshop.
So he says then, "I need you to deliver it all," which is what he should be doing when he's Santa. But still, that's very Santa-esque, isn't it?
Yeah. He's like, "I didn't bring me reindeer and me sleigh." So if you could box it all up, bring it over, that'd be great.
A storm's coming, so maybe the reindeer don't work. We've got to do something different this year.
Yeah. Rudolph's nose is still being serviced to light the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he goes to leave and Sarah describes her as lifting a corner of her mouth because Illyrian females are taught not to smile at males that they don't know.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, they're so demure.
It's very mindful.
Very,
very mindful.
And that's not for me.
It's not for me either.
She wishes him a happy solstice, and Cassian wonders what would ever happen if the two of these met, Emerie and Nesta.
Ooh.
They're very similar.
Did you get a worried vibe as if he would, prefer the easier option?
No. I feel like he is your brother.
Yeah.
Unless you're Nesta.
Yeah.
And I think more so he's probably just surprised to see an Illyrian female not around a campfire cooking or cleaning or washing or whatever.
Good on her. I love this character.
Yeah.
And we only get to know and love her more, which is great.
Yeah.
Back to Feyre.
Boring again now.
And equally, I have approximately 2 sentences worth of notes for chapter 9. So she offs to Rosina's studio.
For the paint and sip.
To paint and sip.
Yeah.
What's her drink of choice, do we think? And the reason I ask is because this chapter is a snooze fest and we need to spice it up like I would with a spicy marg.
Is that your drink
That's
of
my
choice?
drink of choice.
Spicy margarita.
Fuck yeah. Especially from a place in Melbourne called Pinchies that has lobster rolls. They do the best spicy mug, closely followed by my husband who makes one at home.
I could not think of anything worse than a spicy drink.
But it's not. I'll get Simon to make you one. Do you like tequila?
Moderately.
Yeah.
My drink of choice is far more bogan.
If you tell me it's 4X Gold or fucking Bundy and Coke. Oh, it's Bundy and Coke, isn't it? Yes. You like a Bundy and Coke?
Rum. Oh, rum is my favourite alcohol. If I had to choose any sort of drink, alcoholic, it's rum. Yeah.
Do you know why I hate rum and Coke or just rum in general? Is because of the stink that it leaves in your mouth. I feel like you've been drinking for a week straight when you come up close to someone who's been drinking rum.
Really?
Yeah, it's not for me.
Okay, all right. I've never noticed that, but absolutely I would be having myself a rum and Coke.
Okay. Look, I'll make you a rum and Coke if you want.
There's one in the fridge if you need.
Yeah.
If you need.
So anyway, she's too scared to go inside.
Coward.
What is she worried about? Not fitting in?
She's worried about what will come out when she does her painting. So it's like she goes into a bit of a different place when she paints. And I think this is something that we both can't relate to because we're not an artistic soul.
No.
I think these sort of people get a bit loose and so
Yeah.
like they don't have control of what they're doing at the time.
Like they're smoking up. People think I can paint because I'm a makeup artist.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you must be really artistic. Yeah. No. I can't draw a stick figure to save my life.
No, me neither.
My doodles are worse than that of my 4-year-old daughter.
Your doodles. Interesting. You could have called them scribbles, but you chose the word doodle.
It's this studio. It does things to me.
Okay. Well, honestly, Rhys offers to come because Rhys offers to arrive and he says, I'd be an excellent nude model. Have you ever done a nude painting class?
No.
Oh.
Have you?
Yes.
Where?
Many years ago.
Was it big?
No.
Oh.
No. Like it was.
Why would you want to go?
I feel
Unless I'm looking at an Asriel figure-esque, then I'm not interested.
I feel like I was not the right vibe for that kind of class.
You hadn't read enough.
I can't
smut?
appreciate the male form in that way.
Yeah.
And so like it felt intrusive. It felt intrusive to draw it.
Yeah.
Like
Did you do everything else?
because
And then
like I
get
had
to
to
the
be
penis
like I
and
had
be
to
like,
be like and like you know like doing like the round bit. And I was like, it's like I don't know, like I don't want him to be offended.
where's your drawing?
I'm not telling you.
I need to see it. Yes, don't be such a sports point. That's my Christmas present.
Frame this for you.
And if it makes me uncomfortable, it'll be straight in the bin.
I put effort into that. That man sacrificed that night
He sacrificed himself
for my eyes
in the
to
name
look
of nudity.
upon his flaccid penis. To beep that bit out.
No.
So Feyre decides that she wants to do her first painting alone. And honestly, would you not just go back and paint Rhys?
Yeah.
Right?
She doesn't even need to look at him to paint him. She's memorised his every nook and granny.
I feel like it's the the Titanic, like if he laid on the chaise in the sitting room with the like Gerard would comes in. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Paint me like one of your French girls.
Yes. Have you ever caught someone in the act?
No.
Never?
There's been a couple of things at Isobar that I wish I hadn't have seen.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Fair.
But I'm not willing to discuss them.
You've trauma blocked them out.
I have trauma blocked them out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, boringly, she paints something, but it's not Rhys.
Oh.
It's the beast that she saw in the mirror of the Ouroboros.
I love this. I've got a quote here. She painted how she looked in the mirror, the beast that she saw. She said, I was a racehorse freed from my pen, the image in my mind, a dashing vision that I sprinted to keep up with. So she compares herself to what she's seeing and drawing now, painting now. The beast of scale and claw and darkness, rage and joy and cold. And I thought that was really interesting because she's not really any of those things, but she is when she needs to be.
I think they all are when they need to be.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is her beast form?
I think it would have to be,
Yeah.
you know, and it worries me a bit.
I'm here for it.
You would be.
Thank you for a beautiful shift. That's it for this episode of the Night Shift Court podcast.
Join us next week for the continuation of ACOFAS Book 4, A Court of Frost and Starlight.
Whichever platform you're listening on, we would so appreciate it if you could give us a 5-star review. It helps our podcast grow.
You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok at The Night Shift Court.